Yo, what is good, everybody? It's your boy, Golden Falls, Golden What If, whatever you want to call me. Sorry for the late. It's going to be a little late of an upload in terms of when it comes out. I kind of have a headache right now. It's a little better right now, a little bit better. But before, it was pretty bad. So that's why I couldn't get to it, like last night and also this morning. But yeah, I'm feeling a little better in terms of the headache. So I was like, let me hop on. Let's record. This is What If Deku had a wrestling Quirk part 3. I think I got one more part basically after this, and then the series will be over. Make sure to show some love for these My Hero What Ifs. I mean, if y'all want to see My Hero What Ifs continue, make sure to show love. Obviously, I personally know what ifs do the best and what don't do the best for me at the moment. Don't worry, new My Hero What Ifs are definitely coming, but they just know that depending on the viewership, depending on how much y'all are interacting and how much y'all are suggesting and stuff like that, does take a toll on what you get. With that said, I'm not going to waste that much more of your time. Let's get right into part 3 of What If Deku Had a Wrestling Quirk. Let's get it. Izuku Midoriya heads off to Sir Night-Eye's agency. He had a lot of choices to more or less choose from, but All Might himself suggested that he would go to Sir Night-Eye's agency because they have a lot of things they want to tell him and a lot of things they want to work with him in terms of just everything. And when he arrives, he's greeted by many people, including who he thinks is the next user of One for All, being that of Miria Togata. When he meets him though, he kind of introduces himself, and they kind of get into a bit of a talking session about power, strength, and so on. Eventually, they would do a bit of a spar, but during that spar, they wouldn't get too far into it until, well, Sir Night-Eye stops them from doing anything else. He doesn't want the whole building to collapse, and he doesn't think a little patch of grass is good enough for their spar. But with that said, he tells them that he has some business to attend to with both of them, so there's some things they need to get through. He tells them that first off, he is hunting one overhaul, but they haven't gotten really anything so far, and they really won't get anything for a while. But he does tell Izuku this, telling him all about it, about overhaul and so on. So if he does find him, see him, be on just notice, just in case. This guy is wanted extremely badly, and frankly, he's just a danger to everybody. Izuku kind of laughs this off, saying that he's a danger to nobody once he gets his hands on him. But Sir Night-Eye says that this is very serious, and to take it that seriously as well. But after all that is said and done, Sir Night-Eye does set up Izuku with some training, same thing with Mirio, with some various other heroes as well. And Mirio and also Izuku makes quick work of every single one of them. But after a couple of days of training, a phone call would ring through. This phone call would make everybody extremely uneasy because yes, Izuku would work with one of the greatest heroes ever, being that of Sir Night-Eye. But quickly, all of that good experience would come to a halt, especially in terms of what he has to do next. Because the phone call is from Aizawa, and he tells them that they have to head back immediately. In which everyone is confused. Like, why does he have to do that? They've only been here for a couple days. And of course, this would set off alarms in all of their heads. But when Izuku would arrive back at UA, they would learn that someone has died. Yes, died in one of their little studies or in one of their internships, and that person is Tenya Ida. Izuku wasn't there, and frankly, not many other people were there either. So, unfortunately, well, Tenya Ida would fall to the hero killer. And this would put everybody in UA on notice. This was no longer fun and games. This was no longer what they believed it to be. And even Aizawa makes this extremely clear, that this whole hero thing, it might not be for all of them. So if they're not willing to risk their lives, sacrifice themselves, or possibly even die in the feat of battle, then they all need to reevaluate what they're truly doing, reevaluate everything that they're pushing themselves through. And Izuku is unflinching. He tells Aizawa that he's ready for whatever's to come, and he's happy to hear that from Izuku, because he tells him that he'll be a crucial part in whatever's to come in the near future. And a promise is a promise. He said that he wouldn't have to do any work, but this whole final exam isn't qualified for Izuku. Everyone's confused. I mean, they didn't think he was serious about the whole work thing, but he does say that Izuku's power, strength, and the way how far ahead he is at this current moment doesn't make sense for him to even be participating in this. And they're all completely taken back by this. There's just no way. Is he really that much stronger than even pro heroes? In which that would be the truth. And Aizawa would make it clear that he is. He's stronger than most pro heroes, most of them all of them combined. And everybody is shocked, but at the same time, I mean, when they look back at what he's been able to do, what he's capable of, should that really shock you? Should that really surprise you that he's able and capable of doing so much in such a short amount of time, at least to them, in such a short amount of time? Well, not really. But Izuku would wait as he watches everybody goes through their finals and everybody goes through whatever they have to do. And he watches his class more or less take the entire final exam, or at least the practical, in which he watches all of them fight different teachers. And in a way, he kind of thinks that Aizawa made this a punishment for him. He watches all of his classmates fight, and all of his classmates have fun fighting, even though he watches and his delusional self thinks that they're having fun, but a lot of them are being tormented by the fact that these teachers are way stronger than them. But to him, he looks at it and thinks they're having fun, that he can't have fun with them. He can't bring every single teacher right there to Suplex City. He's disappointed, but it's okay. He's heard about what's coming next, so he should be able to get plenty of training in very, very soon. And during that, or where that would go, would be the forest training camp. After everyone is said and everyone is done and the whole final exam is said and done, they all head off to the forest training camp. The Wild Wild Pussycats would be waiting for them, and they would begin their training. It would all start first with throwing them off a mountain. But Izuku would be pretty excited about this. He would easily land on his feet, thinking that these giant rock monsters are nothing because he brings them to Suplex City. He suplexes one after another, and he's just running through the forest having fun, drop kicking and super kicking every single person that he sees. Even taps into a new version of himself where he absolutely hits one of them with the sweet chin music, and some amazing music begins to play. Something about being a sexy boy. Yeah, something like that. But that's beyond the point. He continues through the forest, helping his class get through it pretty easily, and frankly, he does most of the work. But he does leave a couple monsters here and there so they can get some training in as well. They would arrive at the training camp, or the camp itself, pretty soon after, and Izuku would be asking what they're going to do next. But Aizawa says that they're actually going to be taking a bit of a break. Nothing crazy. They're going to be eating some food, washing up, and next morning is when they will start, early in the morning. Izuku is excited to do just that. He wants to train, fight with some people. And of course, he would be told that he's actually going to be fighting and working with, mostly working with, one of the stronger or physically stronger people in the Wild Wild Pussycats, and that would be Tiger. He'd be more or less kind of training with him most of the time, and Tiger's kind of scared of him. I mean, look at him. Look at Izuku, and he's heard about what he was able to do to Aizawa, so this is going to be kind of scary. The next morning, when Izuku would arrive, he would immediately begin training with Tiger, and that's what the whole next week is all about. This whole week is just him training with someone pretty strong, but nothing crazy. And Izuku is just having fun, suplexing him, F5ing him, and so on and so forth. He just continues to do that. Lariat after lariat, suplex after suplex, F5 after F5, spear after spear. Whatever you can think of, that's exactly what Izuku is doing. Izuku's having a good bit of time, or a good time throughout this journey and throughout this training session. And Tiger is absolutely beat up. He's pretty uncomfortable. I mean, he even says it, asking if anybody wants to switch out. But, of course, nobody wants to switch out and take a suplex from Izuku Midoriya. And that's just the case of it. And that's just the fact of the matter. Nobody wants to take a suplex from him. But what they don't know is that they stopped a completely and utterly terrifying villain. A villain that was going to actually siege this place that they're in right now, a villain that was going to send villains here as they stand, but he didn't come this time around. But he's actually waiting. He's waiting for them to arrive, waiting for them to come back, toward UA, so that he can kill them, waiting so that he can expose everybody and expose UA itself. And he needs a couple things to be ironed out for himself, because he has a plan to not only kill All Might, but to kill that little twerp of as well. And he's talking about Izuku Midoriya, and it's more like him Doria, because that's how insanely strong Izuku truly is. And the one and only All for One sets a trap for when they come back, when they're on the bus driving back to UA. Anomu would shatter the bus, breaking it, and it would draw Izuku out. Of course, Aizawa's goal is to get the kids safe. That's the only thing he can think about. That's what he's paid for. But Izuku looks at him and says that he'll handle the big boss. He knows that he's around here somewhere. In which Izuku suplexes the Nomus over and over again until they're basically lifeless, sitting there completely out of commission. And Izuku says that he needs to find All Might, because he's sure that is what he needs to do. And he's sure that's exactly who All for One will be fighting. Eventually, Izuku would leave, but Bakugo would close follow him, and Aizawa would tell him not to, but he wouldn't listen. Bakugo would be following him, because he knows that the advocate for the beast incarnate Izuku Midoriya needs a proper entrance for a fight like this. Izuku would eventually arrive, seeing All Might clash with All for One, but a giant monster would come out of the buildings to not only even the score, but get All for One a massive advantage. Izuku would see this giant monster, and this monster would be Gigantomachia. Izuku, with no hesitation, would tell Bakugo to start up their little plan. Bakugo would hook up everything, get the news stations ready, and the music would begin to play. Wow. Dum, 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 dum. As the music would begin to play, everybody on the screens would begin watching, not only All Might fighting off All for One, but Izuku Midoriya, the reigning, defending, undisputed WWE champion, fighting Gigantomachia. And he's ready. Izuku would charge toward Gigantomachia, everybody chanting his name, everybody chanting louder and louder. As the chants would grow louder, his strength would grow in absolute insanity. All Might is struggling quite a bit, especially with having to deal with Gigantomachia as well as All for One. But Izuku Midoriya is taking over. Suplex City. He suplexes Gigantomachia, a giant monster. He's basically suplexing a mountain. The chants get louder, as all he could hear is Suplex City, Suplex City. All he can hear is the suplex, or the ringing of Suplex City, and he suplexes after suplexes after suplexes, and Gigantomachia is beat up. Izuku gets Gigantomachia up,
for an F5. Everybody's confused at how he's even doing this. It seems like Izuku is growing in size himself. It seems as if he's just big enough so that he can F5 Gigantomachia. As he does this, Gigantomachia lands on his face, and he's laying there completely out of it. Izuku would go to Gigantomachia and lock in a Kimura, immediately telling him to tap out or he's going to break his arm. As Gigantomachia taps out, bells can be heard ringing, and as the bells ring, Gigantomachia begins to shrink, as if losing has taken away the quirk and all the quirks that built him up, taking away everything and stripping him down to just a man. Izuku would look toward All For One as All For One stands there completely out of it. How did he do that? He'll at least kill All Might before, but as he goes to finish off All Might and injured All Might at that because of Gigantomachia, Izuku is already there. He grabs the hand of All For One, picking him up, F5ing him as he continues to batter All For One. But then everything stops. All Might's the only one there. All Might stands there, and he tells Izuku that it's time for a combo. Izuku nods as All Might winds up one punch, his united state of smash, and Izuku would line up a spear. As he gets ready, All For One would stand up, and he could feel his body not allowing him to move, and he stares at the screens above as if everybody is chanting for All Might and Izuku, chanting for both of them, as if it's staggering him, not allowing him to move, not allowing him to run away, nothing. A punch from All Might to the face as a spear lands flush to his gut, landing him on the ground as Izuku pins All For One. 1, 2, 3. Bells would sound off, and the defeat of All For One and Gigantomachia would be just fulfilled. They would get arrested, were detained, and all of them would be stripped of their quirks and all of their power. It's as if Izuku has stripped them entirely of what they truly are made of, as if he buried them in this world of wrestling. He buried them. He made them look so bad that they became weak, that the audience would only look at them as weaklings. So they would immediately lose all of their strength and sway, all of their power, and so on. They would take away All For One, take away Gigantomachia, and Izuku Midoriya would be known as someone that has saved Japan, has saved everybody. So, in doing so, there's petitions rolling out, petitions to get this man at least a provisional hero license, something that he can continue working, continue saving, and he could help everybody around. And when that day would come, finally, after days of petitioning, Izuku Midoriya would be introduced by the one and only Katsuki Bakugo. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Katsuki Bakugo, and I am the advocate for the future #1 hero and the reigning, defending, undisputed WWE champion, Izuku Midoriya. And as the chants would go and ring out, as everybody would be excited, Izuku would be one step closer to his goal of being the #1 hero. All Might would go into retirement, and Izuku would look forward to what is to come next. And that is to help Sir Nidai and his agency take down the one and only Overhaul. Shigaraki is done. All For One is out. Gigantomachia is gone. Now, all that needs to be done is the defeat of Overhaul. Once that is finished, and once he solidifies himself as someone who defeated everybody at such a young age, the other villains will hide. What All Might did will just be a speck of what Izuku is capable of. He'll drop all villain activity, all crime rates to 0. And that is his goal. even if it's his goal takes him longer than expected, even if there are villains that somehow get the ego, get the confidence to eventually come out and challenge him, he'll be waiting. But the finale would be upon us, and that is for the next part of What If Deku Had a Wrestling Quirk. And if you enjoyed, show some love, leave a like, leave a sub, leave a comment down below, all that good stuff. I don't know when you're going to get the next part. You might either get it tomorrow or Sunday. I haven't really decided yet. If you get the next part on Saturday, then you will get the movie of this on Sunday. But with that said, I hope y'all enjoyed, and I hope all y'all have an amazing day. Later.